Hello, my name is Travis Bennett, and I am a student enrolled at the Florida State College at Jacksonville. And this presentation will be in reference to my research paper that I wrote during the Capstone course of my Business Supervision and Management degree. The title will be Examining the Intricate Nature of Leadership and its Current Status. So, an overview of events, we're going to start with the introduction, and then we're going to dive into the history of leadership, and then we will transition into a brief definition of what leadership is and define terms, kind of give a running definition. Types and values of leadership will be next, followed by the significance of leadership and the golden rule, and how that plays into what leadership is and its significance. And then we will go to incorporating leadership into a professional career. What that means and what that looks like is how am I going to take this concept of leadership and move it into my future endeavors. So, the history of leadership. The concept of leadership is not a modern practice. It's been from ages of old, it's been something that's been practiced, and there have been leaders throughout all of mankind, as one can imagine. There's been many wicked leaders that have saturated the earth since the biblical days. We see great leaders who have led nations to flourishing times, such as King David in the Bible. King David led Israel to just outstanding economic growth and peace and security within his days, but just multiple generations below him, his great-great-grandson, which was also King Jeroboam, when he became king, it was a dismal king, and he led Israel astray, and they ended up losing all of their finances and security and became enslaved to another nation, the Assyrians. Leadership had a very key role in this. John Story states leadership in his book, Leadership in Organizations, Current Issues and Key Trends. Leadership is proven to be a tricky beast to pin down, and the subject has been approached from a variety of perspectives over the years. So we can see that it's not a very easy term to actually pin down. Leadership is an age-old concept which has evolved over the years. Well, what's the definition of it? We have to first understand that it's a subjective term, meaning that it's different to everybody. Everybody's going to have their own definition of leadership. So to give you an objective standard, I'm unable to do that. However, I will give you a definition kind of to run with throughout our presentation, and it will stem from leadership enhancing the lessons of experience, and it states the process of influencing an organized group toward accomplishing its goals. So next we are going to look at the types and values of leadership. So there are a multitude of different styles and types of leadership that each person can exhibit, and every person is going to have their own style that they prefer. My preference and my chosen leadership style stems from sacrificial leadership. That is the most significant type of leadership style that I want to emulate in my own life and in my own professional career. And that is going to be coupled with the creativity style along with effective communication. Because without effective communication and without creativity, you are unable to achieve sacrificial leadership. What is sacrificial leadership? It's the ability to put other people ahead of yourselves. When you are in a leadership role, you have to be able to look at your subordinates in whatever kind of capacity, and you have to be able to evaluate their desires and goals and be able to put yours in the back chair for a second while placing theirs above, while still effectively being able to communicate to them and present ideas to them in a creative way in order to achieve success towards that organizational goal, which we talked about in the definition before. I love Elizabeth O'Leary in her book, 10-Minute Guide to Leadership. She defines leadership as using your imagination to create something that is not imitated by anything else. It's unique to you. Next, we're going to talk about the significance of leadership and the golden rule. So, leadership is a natural born quality. You absolutely can be born a natural born leader. However, what if you are not? Well, what we have learned throughout all these different theories and strategies throughout the degree program is that you can be taught the qualities and discipline of being a leader as well. And we can see this throughout our nation and throughout the history of mankind in the Golden Rule. So the Golden Rule has become a staple in today's psychological doctrines. It's become known throughout all across the globe. What is the Golden Rule? We see in Matthew chapter 7, verse 12, so whatever you wish that others would do to you, do also to them. For this is the law and the prophets. So Jesus is even quoting from an even older source, which is the Old Testament, which we talked about earlier. So the Golden Rule has been across multiple religions, multiple countries. It's do unto others as you would wish do unto you. And what this must be understood, it has to be understood that this is what sacrificial leadership looks like. It's being able to serve other people in this kind of capacity where you put their desires above your own. And this is a staple in the style of leadership that I wish to obtain. So, how am I going to incorporate leadership into a professional career, specifically my professional career? Well, what has to be understood, this is just like anything else. Without incorporating the topics learned within the degree program, without actually applying it, you're not going to learn anything. You're not going to get anything out of it. You can learn all the theories. You can learn everything that you have to learn. You can get a master's degree, a doctorate. You can go throughout the entire process and learn everything that there is to learn about leadership. You can read all the books. But if you do not apply it to your life and actually take the knowledge and use it, you're not going to gain anything out of it. So I personally desire to enter into full-time ministry. Therefore, incorporating servant leadership, creativity, and communication into my career. And this is extremely important to me because my creativity must come from being able to write my sermons in the future in a way that is faithful to the Word of God, yet still being applicable to my audience, and how I'm able to serve the congregates, how I am able to serve my flock and the people who are actually at the church is extremely important to the ministry. And then communication in and of itself. How am I able to relay my information in the Word of God that I'm supposed to be teaching to them, and how I'm supposed to talk back and forth with everyday people. So being a minister requires the leading of a congregation. Therefore, understanding and applying these leadership traits and qualities are of significant importance in my future professional career. So in conclusion, what we've talked about, what we've covered, is although leadership is a fickle subject, leadership is a concept that is essential to success. You have to understand the actual theory of leadership and what it means in order to achieve successful leadership. Great leaders bring significant accomplishments, but can also bring cataclysmic demise. We have to understand that great leaders can do great things and terrible leaders can do terrible things. Leadership styles, values, qualities, and characteristics are of the most important concepts to understand in reference to a business context. When running a business, when running a church, when running a family, leadership and what it means to be a leader and finding your own personal leadership style is essential to success. So, thank you so much for listening to this presentation. I hope that it was noteworthy and that you learned something. Have a good day.